I really do like this background.
This background is really cool. It's as the cool kids would say, it's fire.
There are no cool kids that say that.
There are lots of cool kids that say that. But
Maybe back
ladies
in
and
1985.
hey, that's where all the cool kids live, is in 1985. Welcome everybody to the Empower Hour. Okay, Jen, be
God.
honest. Be honest for a minute. Who who had a better guitar, me or Jimi Hendrix? He's dead, so you don't need to worry about hurting his feelings.
Oh, for sure you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is how I know I can never trust what she says. She lied straight to my face. She lied straight to my
She
face.
also did a
But
very obvious eye roll that showed that I was definitely lying to your face. Just saying.
that's a communication tip, folks. But this also brings us to the topic of today's episode, the biggest confidence killer and how to stop comparing yourself to your ex and focus on your glow up. So, how many of you out there in virtual land, I don't know what the term for it is, have you ever caught yourself doom scrolling on your ex's Instagram or Facebook or any other feeds, analyzing everything like a detective? Because I know I have. What about you,
Totally.
Jen?
Totally.
Well, I mean, did they have Facebook back when you were dating?
Oh, oh, that was a low blow. Also, I would like to just say that there is something very, very that does not connect with me listening to you and the words glow up.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
it's
I'm
it felt
just like,
it felt weird to say as I'm doing this, but we do prepare these shows ahead of times, and sometimes the notes that Jen is supposed to read and the notes that I am supposed to read get confused. So when you hear me say things like "glow up," that is typically something that Jen is supposed to read. So pay no mind and just assume that some bald guy is trying to sound like a cool individual, even though, I mean, look at this. There's nothing cooler. Everybody knows that. But I know when
that's
my marriage ended, I tried to do the whole like no contact and like not look out. I have no idea what happened, but apparently I hit a button on my phone and like I clicked on an email notification that I got and it took me to her profile. And then from that point forward, I was in that loop and I was just hooked and addicted and scrolling back posts for like the entire year before she left and things like that. Yeah, I spent
oh, this was
hours doing it.
before she left.
No, it was after she had left,
Oh,
but I was pretty much off of social media
got
for
it.
I don't know 5 years, but I was still getting like those Facebook notifications, and that when I got that notification and somehow ended up on her profile, it pulled me into that doom scrolling detective work, and so I ended up looking back at a year's worth of posts before she left just to see like what she was putting on Facebook, because these were not things that I was aware of at the time. And naturally, that just kind of crushed me and devastated that healing and made it a lot harder to move forward from that point. Um, what are your thoughts on comparison?
Um, so we're now past we're past the scrolling on Facebook. We're talking about comparing.
Well, if you want to share a story of
um
you scrolling on Facebook,
it's
by
like,
all
wow.
means.
No, I mean, obviously, I feel like everybody does. If you don't, maybe a slight percentage of you don't, but otherwise, you're lying. And just admit it because, like, you're with the rest of us and whatever. But when it comes to comparing, I think a lot of people. first of all, right, you kind of go through that phase where you are trying to find out on Facebook. And what happens when you stumble upon your ex that now has a new girlfriend and they're in a relationship? And maybe it's a month later, maybe it's 3 months later. But I think that really starts kind of getting you to overanalyze everything and wonder like what the heck happened, what does this girl or guy have that I don't, and we then start going down that comparison tunnel. And I think when we start doing that, we just you just get you get stuck. You're just kind of stuck in that. And how do you get out of it?
Absolutely. So that's really what we're talking about today is comparison, how to break free from that trap. Why, first of all, why it's so toxic for when you're trying to heal from a breakup, how to break free and how to move forward and shift your energy towards your own next level glow up. The glow up.
Well, and also too, keep in mind, and I think we're all guilty of this, and I might be getting ahead of us, sorry, but um, you know, social media, I feel like people look at it as though like it's the reality, right? This is their real life and everything is so great and everything is so perfect. When the reality is like, is it? Because I know, knowing myself, and even back in the day when I was, going through breakups and stuff, I would post that everything was just fine. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, but like you just posted 3 days ago that you guys were like so in love and things were so great. And now all of a sudden you're broken up and devastated. And, like nobody ever really posts that stuff about, what an asshole. Okay. I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people do not post those things. It's like, oh, my boyfriend bought me flowers. My husband bought me flowers. But nobody's like, my boyfriend came home at 3 in the morning and had lipstick all over. And actually, I actually do see those posts more than I would like to. But point is that social media kind of gives us this false perception of people's reality. And I think that it kind of hurts us more if you fall into that trap of believing everything that you read on the internet.
Now, specific, not specific to breakups, and we'll cover that in a moment. But Jen, why do you think we devote so much time and energy to comparing ourselves to others?
I think that it's kind of how we like gauge ourselves and like where we're at in life, right? So, and it is something that I used to really get stuck in a while ago, especially when it came to relationships, but just even in general, we want this perception or we want to feel a certain way. And so when we're looking at our friends or whatever, like maybe if somebody has a better job than me, maybe somebody makes more money than me, they have a nicer house, and it's like you're always trying to like keep up with what other people are doing and the people that you're surrounded with are doing. But at the end of the day, what is important is like, how do you feel? Like, what do you want? What are your dreams? Why do you really want a boat, or do you want a boat because your friend has a boat? Like what, what is it that you want?
You hit on something great, which is we want to keep up, right? And we compare because it's almost ingrained in our DNA. So many times we'll compare ourselves either without meaning to or just absent-mindedly because we're trying to fit in, we're trying to belong, we're trying to keep up. But more than that, to your point of um, how we identify ourselves and how we make ourselves feel, we also want to not just fit in, but we want to be better than others.
Mhm.
Because when we're better than others, then we feel good about ourselves. Just like when we're doing worse than others, we feel worse about ourselves.
Right.
When you'd mentioned social media, it's absolutely true. Social media is not real life. And a lot of times we get our comparison models from social media and we look at the people we know or even people we've never met on social media doing so well. And this creates a toxic comparison model automatically. And when we layer that onto ourselves after a breakup, it just becomes so much worse because we're expecting that our partner or our ex rather to be hurting because we're hurting. We want them to suffer like they're making us suffer, like we talked about in the last episode. The
Hmm.
breakups that they leave that gap in our life, and what can end up happening is then we just start overanalyzing and thinking about what are they doing, and our ex partner may live rent free in our heads for a while. Like, are they happy? I bet they're going out with somebody right now. I bet they're doing it, or whatever. We try to compare ourselves with, or checking their social media feed and seeing if
Right.
they're posting pictures of where they're happy, whether that's real or whether that's something fake that they just plastered on there. It still has that same effect on us, which is to make us feel worse. And this kind of stems from the fact that after a breakup, we all want closure. We all want things to end on that note where it ties that ribbon off, gives us a pretty little bow, and it's like what we see in movies where both people very mature and professionally shake hands and they're like, I will miss you, I will miss you too, and then they stay best friends but walk their separate ways. That's just a whole load of garbage. Like, that's not how real life happens. Real life is messy. And what we tend to compare our relationship or how it was to those movies, and then we see in these movies that people, they end on such a positive note. Well, I want that, and then we go doom
Try to
scrolling.
find it.
Yeah, we doom scroll on our ex's Instagram. So you're not crazy if you're doom scrolling. It's how our brains are wired. It's biology, but we're not going to let biology keep us stuck. So I think Jen did a great. Uh, she made a great point when she said social media is not real life. It's really just their staged images, their staged personas that people put on there. You will rarely see somebody pinned to their own social media feed them crying into a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios at 2 a.m. or eating some week old Chinese food as they're just like, what is it called? Like ugly crying. And
Oh
then they're
yeah.
snapping a selfie of it, or they're telling their friend, like, take this picture of me because I looked like a mess, and posting that
Right.
on their feed and pouring out their life. We don't want people to see us vulnerable. So even if you're doom scrolling on your ex's feed, you don't know whether they're vulnerable or not because they don't want the world to know.
Yeah, and actually that makes me think of something because, when you're scrolling, and maybe this is a little bit of a mindset shift for those of you who are, so concerned about what your ex is doing and like, oh, they have a new job that's better than when I was with them. They have a new girlfriend. They're posting all these happy things. And then what if, right? You're over here and you're doing your own thing and you're focused on things that you like, and maybe you're getting back into the gym or going after, you know, whatever, not paying attention to social media and doing your own thing. And who do you think is really like living the better life, right? Probably you, that is doing what you love, as opposed to your ex who's faking everything.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We did have to take a minor pause. We had, something came up, and right before I turned the recording back on, I asked Jen, "Do you remember the point you're making?" She very confidently said, "No." But then I said, "You don't remember?" And I was trying to think of how we can pick this back up. And she said very confidently, "Oh, I do remember." So I said, "Great." And I started recording. And then you saw the effect where she sat there and was like, "Oh shit, what's happening?"
I mean, I remember what I was saying, and my point, I guess, about the whole, your ex, perfect life, right? And you don't really know, you're not paying attention because you're focusing on your glow up. And so, it's one of those things it comes to find out, which has happened to me in the past. Like, you come to find out, like, they're not happy, they're actually miserable. And I'm over here, like, living my best life. And, who really is winning in that situation? The person who is posting all of their things, trying to act like they have a perfect life, or the person who really took time to work on themselves and be truly happy?
I want to share just two quick stories. One I may have shared before, um, about like the whole comparison effect. There was a guy that I was chatting with and helping maybe 2 months ago or something, and he said his ex, who they've been broken up for 6 months, a year, something like that, messaged him and said, "I just got married. You lost." And so if you think about it from the guy's perspective, he's like, "I don't understand." He's like, "What does this mean?" And I pretty much told him, I was like, that her marriage is in trouble, from day one, because she was trying to compare herself and make herself out to be better than her ex was. Not only that, she was comparing her current partner to her ex partner. And that doesn't bode well for a relationship either. So that's just a quick example. Another one, recently, a woman reached out for support and she was devastated because she was doom scrolling. And she said, why does my ex get to be the one who gets the happy ending? Why do they get to thrive and I'm over here devastated crying every single night? Why have they moved on already and I'm stuck and can't figure out how to let go of them? And
Mhm.
so she continues scrolling his Facebook. You see how happy he is with his new partner, all of these things that they're getting on. He's posting selfies of her. And all this woman was thinking was, how come he never did any of that with me? How come he gets to be happy and I don't?
Mhm.
Why is he not suffering as much as I am? But all of these things, they don't serve you in your own healing journey. And so that's where we're going to shift to now, is how we can stop that comparison spiral. So Jen, go ahead and give us some suggestions.
You could do like a little challenge and do like a seven
Challenge, you
day,
say?
yeah, do like a 7 day, no, I know we did no contact, but like just get off social media for 7 days or block their profile so that you can't see it or hide it or whatever it is. But challenge yourself not to do it for 7 days and to focus on yourself for 7 days. That's it. 7 days. It's a week, not that long.
The no blocking their profile and no contact, I think, is great. It's simply because we hear about no contact so frequently because it works, right? If
Right.
you're not contacting them, if you have them blocked, you can't doom scroll. You have to
Mhm.
consciously make the decision to unblock their profile in order to doom scroll again. Well, if you're making that, then maybe you're not ready to heal. And that's okay if you're not yet ready to heal. But once you make that choice to block them, it makes it much easier to not not doom scroll, simply because of the fact that when you do search their profile, it will say you can't see this right now. And so then you have to like go through a bunch of manual steps to unblock them again. And this gives your brain time to say, is this really a good idea? Or do you just want to hop off social media? And as Jen said, just getting off of social media for a week can help
Right.
you detoxify your brain anyway.
And I
Um,
I
Go
think
ahead.
too, you know, something to take a look at is, when you're comparing yourself to your ex, like think about why. Like why are you comparing yourself? Why are you comparing yourself to your ex? Like what, and I think I talked about this before too, but like start writing down like maybe the pros and cons of your relationship, right? Like what were the good, what were the bad? And then like what are the good things that you bring to a relationship? And just kind of start thinking and kind of looking at yourself about like what is it about you that's making you compare yourself to your ex? Like why do you want to do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then finally, you got to remember that you don't build an amazing life by watching somebody else's life. You
True
build an
story.
amazing life by focusing on your own. So, what are three things, big or small, that you want to focus on your life this week? Just write them down. Do you want to focus on your fitness? Do you want to focus on your emotional stability, your career? Um, I don't know, eating less half gallon tubs of ice cream, whatever it is that you want to focus on. I do love ice cream, so I just have to stop eating
I
it
was
because
just
I.
think I'm like, darn it, now I all I can think about is ice cream. I apologize, people.
So every time I go to the grocery store, I have a tendency to. I don't know why. I just start at the very back of the store, and that's typically where the frozen foods are. And every time I go through the ice cream aisle, the ice cream aisle, it's called the ice cream aisle for reasons because it's like, 14 tons of ice cream just in your face, and there is this almost primal pull within me to buy all of the ice cream. And so I have to like go through. I don't even know why I touch that aisle anymore, but I just have to go through it as quick as possible. And sometimes I challenge myself. I'm like, I'm just going to stare at all these delicious looking flavors of ice cream, but I won't buy any because I know as soon as I do, I'm just going to end up with diabetes.
What is your favorite ice cream? I just want to know.
That's hard to say. I like the chocolate chip cookie dough. I like the ones with like the Reese's peanut butter cups,
Oh,
or
peanut butter and chocolate ice cream.
well, not the peanut butter and chocolate. It's like the vanilla ice cream with like the chocolate peanut butter cups in it.
Oh, no, I like the chocolate ice cream with the Reese's peanut butter, like peanut butter chunks in it.
So I think I'd had that once before. That may have put me into a sugar coma when I
Oh,
did. Um, there's just something. Chocolate is typically not like my favorite flavor. In like I sometimes it's good, but sometimes when I eat it, it's like this just tastes like butt. I don't know why. I'm weird, so I
so
just
you're
don't.
saying you're vanilla.
I'm I'm the definition of you boring. So, and I'm fine with that because vanilla is so much more versatile than chocolate is.
Well, I mean, to each their own.
Yeah, you don't put chocolate in like healthy smoothies, do you? And people would say,
Yeah.
I put chocolate in mine. So you're saying you put spinach and carrots in your chocolate smoothie.
I mean, I don't make a spinach and carrot smoothie, but I
Yeah.
definitely would put strawberries and pineapple in my chocolate smoothie.
Whereas you could put strawberries and pineapple and spinach and carrots into a vanilla smoothie. So you take that weird colored water bottle.
Whatever.
So as we kind of move forward, and just to kind of recap, set some small goals for yourself this week to focus on your own life and start building that confidence that you know that you deserve. They could be big or small, but if you start small, this can help you build momentum towards turning you into that badass that you know you deserve to be.
That's right.
So if we wanted to help our viewers shift their mindset, Jen, after the breakup, what are some things that they can do for that?
Well, I would say the first thing to do is instead of looking
Stop
at
eating chocolate.
like, no, nobody should ever stop eating chocolate. Instead of looking at their life and like how great it is, like kind of look at this as like it's the breakup and we're sad and I get it. But again, like I've said before, what are those things that you're passionate about? What are the things that you may have liked before you started dating this person that you kind of shoved to the wayside and start thinking about what is it that you want? Like you now have this new freedom. And while yes, it's devastating and it's heartbreaking, but once you go through and deal with all of that, right? Like you have this freedom now to create whatever you want. And once you understand that you have the control of your life and not somebody else and not the relationship, and once you stop comparing your relationship to other people's relationship, there's actually a huge freedom that comes with that to understand like I can create my own relationship and it doesn't have to look like anybody else's because it's mine and it's what works for me and it's what works with my partner. And unfortunately, it took me, 30 something years to realize that, but that is what I did with my husband. And we do have a very, it probably doesn't look like other people's relationships, but it's what works for us. There's so many people that I know that are just, I wish this person this. And it's like, well, I mean, go out and find the person that almost best matches, or you guys can work together as a team to create what works for you.
When you're in a new relationship, you need to stop trying to focus on recreating what some other couple has, and instead
Correct.
work on creating what works for you. There's too often relationships will struggle and fail because people try to take advice that they heard from somebody else. Like this couple that got married, um, and they've been married for 80 years. And the piece of advice that they took was, divorce is not an option. That works for them. But how many couples in today's day and age have said divorce is not an option and they're now divorced? I can
Hmm.
tell you that's what my ex told me. So whatever worked for these other people won't necessarily work for you. So what's that system, what's that those strategies that is going to make you a couple, because you're a unique person, your partner is a unique person, therefore you are going to create a unique relationship. If you try to follow
Hmm.
a cookie cutter mold, you're setting yourself up for failure.
For failure. Hmm. There's
That's
so
why
many times that I talk to people that are like, I wish that I, had this in a relationship. And it's like, well, why can't you? And well, they're not that. Well, I mean, you probably didn't choose the right person to begin with. And I don't really know, but
I've heard some of Jen's friends even say, "I wish I had a relationship like you and your husband has." And then she didn't think I heard her, but I hear Jen lean in and say, "You don't have enough crazy to have the relationship that my husband and I have." And then she just walks
that's
away
so true.
confidently because she knows that the things that she and her husband do in the relationship, they work because there is an insane amount of crazy that goes
Yeah.
into their relationship, but it works for them. And if anybody is to try to
I'm
compare or
crazy.
say,
He deals with it. Perfect.
I didn't want to say that, but I'm glad you did.
I know what you're going. I know what you're getting at. I know what
But
you're getting.
if you try to say, well, I want a relationship like Jen and her husband have, you're taking away and you're trying to become somebody who you're not, and you're taking away
Right.
from the beauty that you can create in your own relationships. And while you may not be in a relationship right now because you're still healing from your breakup, that's okay. Don't take away from the beauty of your healing process and try to become somebody you're not. Don't try to become somebody who fits into a relationship for the sake of being in a relationship.
A
Instead,
chameleon.
focus on becoming the person you want to be and the right partner for you will come along so that you can create a beautiful relationship together. So, as we start kind of winding things down a little bit, I'd like to ask our viewers, what's one thing that you're going to focus on instead of your ex this week? Comment below, or you could certainly send us a message depending upon where you see this. We want to cheer you on, and we want to hear the things that you are going to do to focus on making your own life better instead of making your own self feel worse by looking at a bunch of nonsense and garbage on somebody else's social media. Um, Jen, have you ever had a glow up moment where you realized you were finally over your ex?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to say that I've had the moment after every ex that I've ever had. Some it took a little bit longer, some not so much, but yeah. And there is, I keep saying it, but there's that freedom, empowerment, confidence that you have when you realize, like, I can move on. I can, like, they don't have any hold over you anymore. You don't, they don't take up space in your brain anymore. And you can just move on and be happy without having them.
It's have you ever seen the show Mad Men?
Yeah.
There's a scene that keeps coming to my mind, but it's almost like when after a breakup, too often our ex is living in our head rent free. But I think of the glow up moment is where you become the main character. I can't remember his name. It's been a really long time since I've seen the show, but where he's walking out of the elevator and he says, I don't think about you at all. And he just goes on with his day. And that's kind of like, that's
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that aha moment where it's like, okay, I guess, you know, I'm over them.
I'm done.
Now,
Hmm.
now I know that we talked about the mindset shift. Yes, I'm bouncing back just momentarily, and how to look at your breakup as a possibly good thing for you. Instead of looking at it as like your life is over or you're devastated. What if instead of looking at how they're doing now, you instead focus on the freedom that you have? We wanted to also share a visualization exercise with you guys before we go. So close your eyes for a moment and picture yourself 6 months from now, just radiating confidence, doing the things you love, and not thinking about your ex at all. That's where you're headed as you're going through your healing journey. And it may not feel like that right now. We understand, and that's okay. Everybody's healing journey is different, but hold on to that imagery and that visualization that you've created for yourself, because not only is that where you're headed, that's also what's possible for you. And the tips and the things that we're sharing are ways in which you can get there. So as we close out, Jen, do you want to do a quick recap of some of the tips and tricks that we've shared?
No, but I will. I'm like, oh my gosh, we covered so
So
much.
I think we have seen the full gamut of Jen in this episode. She lied at the very top of the episode, and now we've gotten to brutal honesty Jen, where even asked a simple question, she's like, I don't want to do that at all. I just
I
don't
mean,
care.
you asked, I was
Yeah.
honest. I don't know.
So this is what we call the character transformation arc, ladies and gentlemen.
The 7 day, try the 7 day no social media. Um, Try instead of thinking about your ex and how great their life is, how great your life can be and what you could do to, some of those things that you love doing that you can do to kind of occupy your time instead of thinking about your ex. And then set small goals. Um, It doesn't have to be huge. Those small ones are probably more important because those small ones are what helps you get to those bigger goals. And then definitely share with us what your story about when you finally realized that you were over your ex. And then what was the last one? Oh, think about 6 months from now. What does your dream life look like? What does your, if it's a relationship, like what does that relationship look like? And also start jotting down those pros and cons. Like I said, the pros and cons of your past relationship. And you may start seeing a pattern like, oh man, I keep dating men or women that have these cons, right? And start putting it out there in the universe, if you will, the things that you are looking for in a relationship instead of focusing on the things that you don't want in a relationship. Because if you keep focusing on those things that you don't want, that's exactly what you're going to attract to you. And that's my little life coaching spiel for right now. But, um,
Yeah.
just, I think just really think about what it is that you want because the more you know exactly what you want and what you're willing to give up or whatever in a relationship, the more likely you are to attract the right person. Hmm. I can see you. We're on a screen.
I
Everybody
know.
can else can see you too. How
I'm well
ridiculous
aware
you
of
just
that.
look.
I just when I did that, I was looking at you. I just heard your voice hitch a little bit. You're probably thinking to yourself, "What is this man doing?" Um, so yes, as Jen said, stop the scroll, shift your focus, step into your own life. Doing those things, that's what's going to help you move through your healing process a little bit better. So next episode,
Oh
we're
yeah,
going to
let's
step
tell them.
into Jen's place of power. We're diving into self love, how to genuinely love your single life and stop seeking validations from relationships. I'm probably not going to talk very much in this episode because that's all where Jen loves to put her power and focus in. So we're just going to let her run the show.
I also just want to set for the record that when he says it's right up my alley, it's not the single life part that is up my alley. It's the self love and how
Well,
to stop seeking validation in relationships. I just wanted to make that clear. I don't need no rumors and drama.
this is where we need to get the all the single ladies song to play us out here.
Oh, I might surprise you all with that.
Yeah. So if this episode helped you in any way, send it to a friend who may need to hear it. And if you haven't yet, leave us a review. Feel free to comment below. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. But thanks for tuning in to the Empower Hour, everyone.
Love it.
We'll
Make
see
him
you
go
next time.
away.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.